Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, strategies, and insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today I'm very lucky to be joined by Alberto of Pastilla. How's it going, Alberto?
Everything's going well. Thank you, Shiv, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on. And Alberto, I would love to just start this off by learning a little bit more about your background and a little bit more about Pastilla.
Of course, my personal professional career started about 9 years ago. I started in the digital media sector and then I moved into the publishing industry as content manager. So I worked on digital strategies and also print campaigns there. And somehow, through connections, I ended up moving into the agency world and then I never left. I've been here for a couple of years already now. So really enjoy that. And essentially, I was in other agencies before, but then I got to Pastilla, which you already mentioned. And ever since I got here, I got really invested into the work they do or the work we do with the public sector, nonprofits. Pastilla is a, let's say, a full in-house agency. We come up with branding, marketing, even like web development services for clients. We try to provide a very like 360 approach to cover all our clients' needs. And yeah, I think something that's very like an added value of Pastilla is that we're a very diverse multicultural agency. And I think that brings to the table a lot of different skills from our different team members. And also something in addition to that is that we're a very, I would like to say like a human agency. It's not an agency that just will bring services and deliver a scope of work to you. We really believe in creating connections with our clients and the communities we serve. And I think that's a very important thing nowadays, especially in a very like fast-paced world where we are and where we are constantly bombarded with marketing and ads and campaigns. And I think that human approach and that characteristic of Pastilla is what makes us unique.
For sure. And thanks for the overview. And you said something, I think a big thing for you guys, especially when you go on the website, is, your connection with communities. And so what makes Pastilla's approach to connecting with let me start that again. What makes Pastilla's approach to connecting with communities different from maybe a traditional ad agency model?
I would say that we really dive deep into the trust building with the audiences we reach out to. And I think that it's very important not only to understand the demographics of your target audiences. I think that is a starting point for sure. But something that's very valuable from our agency is that we really dive deep into what resonates with the audiences. Like we face their challenges, we put ourselves in their shoes, and we really try to think from their POV. We really to dive deeper into their interests, their hurdles, their I don't know. Sorry, let me take a step back there. So essentially, we really like to understand the emotional roadblocks the audience might face when we present something to them, because ultimately what we want is for every campaign that we develop to be effective and engaging. And there are a lot of things that might come up in the audience's minds because as humans, we're complex. So we're more than just an age group or a location demographic. We're way more than that. So the fact that we really try to understand what goes in the mind of our audiences, I think that's the added value. Like the emotional hook, the rational hook, everything that is, all of that is taken into consideration as we build our strategies and our foundations for the campaigns.
Well, it sounds so much more holistic doing it that way. You know what I mean? You guys are really, it's not just these buyer personas, which I think is the marketing slash agency standard. Cool, we're going to figure out your buyer personas and then we're going to market to them. But you guys are really going deep into the emotions and all that. How do you guys go about figuring those types of things out? Like you say, step into their shoes and stuff, but how does that actually happen in practice?
We have a very robust discovery process. We love doing one-on-one interviews, also like workshops with the stakeholders of our projects, which of the times involves the community that we are going to be working for. We do a lot of surveys as well. And obviously, nowadays, we leverage the tools we get to work with AI, even things as simple as using Brandwatch and like going into Google Trends and see and find out what people is interested in and what the people that might fit our demographics that we're targeting, like what really are their interests in, and just trying to understand that psychologic interpretation of things and to find out how we really will create a bond, a connection with them. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. That's super interesting. And so, how do you guys measure success when the goal is community impact rather than maybe like direct sales?
That is interesting because something that, and this is mostly my personal opinion here, is that you won't be able, obviously, to appeal to every single person out there. But as long as you see that a project is having a positive impact and that there are always figures you can track. For example, if you we've worked with nonprofit organizations that try to improve the environment for the communities they serve. And essentially, let's say, we came up with a platform that's called Tree Dedication, and that is for a specific area in LA for within the What's Rising community. And we came up with this tool that essentially engaged the residents of the area for them to embrace planting trees around the area and make it a little bit more emotional. For example, it's called Tree Dedication because in partnership with this organization, people were able to, let's say, adopt and dedicate a tree to whether someone from their family that passed away or someone they really care about. And then they would be able to adopt and follow up the growth of that tree. And I think the measurement there will be obviously maybe on a long term to see how the community becomes more sustainable, right? And more green and more resilient towards climate impact and all of that. Like, for example, we also serve a very big green energy provider in California. And I would say then the metrics will talk like the brand awareness. We've worked with them in multiple campaigns and like the fact that their brand awareness is increasing, that is obviously an indicator that the way the campaign is speaking to the audience is working effectively. And also like the increase in the enrollments on their programs, that's also another metric. So I would say it's, yes, we're not selling maybe products and you won't see it reflected in sales, but there are metrics you can track. And essentially it's the community engagement on the different programs you're promoting or enrollments, etc.
Yeah, for sure. And your work just sounds so rewarding. It must be nice to come in every day and work with brands that are really and causes that are really trying to make a difference. So that's awesome.
It certainly is. Coming from a background where I was mostly focused on other types of clients like retail and hospitality, it's also rewarding, it's fun, it's nice.
Yeah.
But when I stepped into the public sector work and the nonprofits, just knowing the struggles of some organizations and knowing that you are supporting them, that is a completely different type of reward. And I would say that's one of the reasons why we really believe in the work we do as an agency, because we are there, as I was saying earlier, not only to fulfill scope of work, we're there to really show up for the communities our clients serve and see how we can support and create a positive impact because we're facing, I know anyone will say this regardless of the timing, but we're facing tough challenges nowadays in many sectors, in many industries, in many ways. So the fact that we can help communities navigate those challenges, that is definitely something that we are all passionate about in the agency.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Wow, I love hearing about what you do and the work you've done. And it was really cool even going on your website and seeing some of the causes and nonprofits and things that you guys have worked with before. It's really great. Alberto, this has been awesome. Where can people learn more about you? Or can people learn more about the agency?
You can find me on LinkedIn. My handle is obviously linkedin.com/Alberto. Alvarado is my name. And you can find Pastilla's website at pastilla.co, not com, .co without the M. And also the handle on LinkedIn of the agency is Pastilla Agency. So that's how
Great.
we're.
Great. Thank you again for being on.
Now, thank you for inviting me.